Hey, this is Cavallo, and today we're going to talk about 5 ways, yeah, it's time for another 5 ways to make men chase you after you slept with him. And let's get started with make him chase you. Number 1, be accepting all the time. See, there's this made-up motivational poster that jokes about, it's only annoying when the guy who approaches you isn't attractive, which is kind of true in a lot of ways. It's one of those unfair burdens that women have to bear, unfortunately. Men have the burden of mustering up his courage, braving possible rejection, and then initiating that approach and coming over and talking to you and starting a conversation. Women, what do you have to do? Well, you have to try and be graceful when some clueless douchebag decides he wants to talk to you about your day. But you know what? It's one of those things you gotta do. For one reason, it's for the team. If you want men to be reaching out to women and starting up these conversations, you gotta know that he's interested, right? Women don't want to have to start the conversation. You really do want him to start it. So if you want that to happen, you have to look approachable. Another reason is that it keeps you positive, at least most of the time, keeps your attitude positive, and it keeps you accepting of men. And that in turn reflects in your energy. If a guy senses that you're already on your guard and you're already trying to protect yourself and shield yourself from the witless D-bags out there, he can and he probably will change his mind about trying to start a conversation with you. The nice guys you want are usually a little bit skittish and a little bit, put back a little bit about approaching and contacting women. Hey, you know what? These days in this political climate, can you blame them? Make them want you. Number 2, no games, just play it straight. When it comes to your interest in a guy, being too coy is going to work against you, big time, because the new social climate has already left men feeling very ambivalent about reaching out and saying hello and being the first one to talk to you. If he encounters an ounce of discouragement, he's very likely going to interpret that to mean no means no, and he's just going to walk away. Very often guys don't get to be that persistent and they don't try to overcome the challenges that you might put in front of them the way they once did. But more importantly is that you have to show up front that you're not going to be into game playing. Guys see through this behavior and any kind of game playing will turn them off right from the start. So after you've done the deed and slept over, or he slept over your place with your guy, don't suddenly start changing your attitude and start playing hard to get. When he texts you or calls you the next day, answer it. Don't wear your heart on your sleeve, but then don't resort to trickery to get him to stay connected to you. Make him desire you. Number 3 is to stay sexy. Now this phrase was burned into my brain ever since I first heard it from a woman that I worked with back in the 90s. All the women in the room were giving their advice to this one woman who was about to get married, and my one friend said to her, stay sexy. It took me a while to understand what she was saying, but it really just comes down to you gotta keep up the effort to make yourself, look like the goddess in his eyes that he wants to see. So after you spend the night that first time, work to keep up some of that mystique. Work to let him know that he's valued, because a man actually interprets the effort that you put into looking good as the amount of desire that you feel for him. That's his clue to how interested you are in him. So if you let your hair down a little too early and relax a little too early, you're going to take away that chase. Now, get him to chase you. Number 4, hook him in, but throw him back in the pond. So when you're enjoying that morning after, that glow, bask in it, hang out with him, spend some time, cuddle up, build up some connection, but eventually cut him off and send him home. One of the biggest mistakes that women make is to overdo the I got him phase. She tries to keep him around too long after that first night of fun. You want to feel like he's still attached and you did the right thing. But nudging him back out and sending him on his way, getting him back into his own life, sends a very good message. You both had a great time and now he needs to get back to work to win you over all over again. And if you're saying, Carlos, that sounds like game playing. Didn't you just say not to do that? Don't do the hard to get thing. Well, game playing would be if you did this just to manipulate his emotions. But you're not that kind of woman, are you? I hope not. You've got a life, you've got things to do, places to go, and people to see. So get him back into his own life. Keep him after the sex. Number 5, no calls, no texts, no emails. Let him chase you. Another huge mistake I see women making is that in their efforts to reconnect with a guy, they do want him to chase her, but then she goes right ahead and starts chasing him as quickly as she possibly can. The morning after, she's already on her phone, sending texts and doing everything she can to soothe her insecure fears. She'll send stuff like, hey, what you doing? Or what's up? And you know what? Guys know what this is about. We know that you're fishing for a little bit of, hey, are we okay? Feedback. Yeah, we know you don't want to get married instantly, but we also just don't want that kind of weird pressure. So you got to let a man have the room to figure out that he's missing you so that he can initiate, so that he can chase you. He needs you to trust him to reach out if he's going to continue the chase. And the funny part is, He will keep up the chase if he senses that you're just fine without him. There's a lot of confidence and power in this method, not to mention self-respect. And if you're wondering, but Carlos, what if he never calls me back? Well, then he was never that into you to begin with. And if he responded to your chasing, that means that you would have been chasing him until he finally dumped you. So it's better this way. And if you want to know more about how to get men to chase you, I've got a great presentation for you where my friend Kate, who managed to turn her love life around after being dumped by her husband for another woman, well, she's going to tell you exactly what happened, and I'm going to tell you what happened and how she got her revenge. If you want to find out how she changed her forever alone status to forever blissful, go on over to datingadviceguru.com/irresistible. datingadviceguru.com/irresistible, and I'll tell you the whole story there. Go watch the video, and I'll be talking again very soon. This is Carlos Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com/irresistible. Live and love with passion.